Welcome to another episode of Manhood and Manicures, a show where real men talk real life over manicures. Except we're flipping the script a little bit today. I'm still your host, Ogunyemi. We are still at Polished Natural Nail Bar, but I want to listen to a different perspective today. And so we've invited a great friend of mine. She this is going to be great, is a TV host. She's a producer. She's the founder of Dream Pusher. I'm talking about none other than Stephanie Sutton. Let's welcome her to the show. Hey, Stephanie.
What's up?
Welcome to Manhood and Manicures.
Thank you for having me. This is very interesting, being on Manhood and Manicures, because clearly I'm not a man.
And how often are you used to being on this side of the mic? Because typically you're the one that's hosting and interviewing people. How's that feel?
I don't do this very often, so here we are. It's a little uncomfortable sometimes for me because I am used to not having to share my own information, but today you get a treat.
Okay, well, we are in for a treat. I'm looking forward to it. How about we hop right in?
I'm ready.
Cool. So you've built a career on communication and storytelling and engaging with folks in the community. What have you learned about the importance of building community and seeing what exactly it is that people care about engaging with?
I think you don't have stories without community. I think that's one of the main things that I've learned. You know, I know you introduced me as, TV host, personality, and CEO of my company, but I'm also the Director of Engagement Communications for Yellow, which is the education nonprofit of Pharrell. Yeah. And so in my role, I'm responsible for telling the story of our brand, telling the story of our nonprofit and how we got here and why it's important, the work that we do. And so realizing in that role, my role is to not only storytell, but engage with the community and understand what they want to see, what they want to hear, and what they care about, topic areas. We have a conversation called Bright Sparks every month, and it's a panel conversation series that features the community. So I think I've learned that without the community, you have nothing to tell.
Yeah, so this world is kind of crazy.
Kinda.
There's a lot that's happening. What, with your engagement, have you learned about what really makes people tick, what makes people go, how storytelling can actually bring people together?
That's a good question. I think it depends on what you're engaging with. So for instance, in that role, my focus is education and community. But then in my other roles as leading media relations for the Cousins Festival, that's a whole different brand, right? We're trying to engage families and, create that family reunion and cookout vibe. So what might make somebody tick on that end is different than what might make somebody tick in terms of the education world. Sure. So I don't think there's one specific answer, but I think it's a matter of knowing and understanding your audience and really just paying attention and listening. So it's not much of a response, it's more so listening and be okay, how can we shift that thought process? How can we shift the narrative? Or how can we just listen and sometimes you don't have to engage, sometimes you just really need to listen.
Yeah, dude, you bring up another point. I follow you and you travel a lot, and many things that you do seem to be done to uplift the community and in partnership. Yeah. How has your journey impacted your view on partnering and remaining engaged in the community?
I'm literally just thinking back to all the things that I've done, even just over the last almost 20 years now. I think being able to travel and being able to explore and just engage with different types of communities has made me more self-aware in how I even engage with my own circle of friends or own circles of people which I might not have a continuous relationship with. Yeah. If we're putting on an event and I know it's for a specific audience, I'm okay, I might need to be a little more sensitive and thoughtful in the questions that I ask or our approach, because we're dealing with a population where their socioeconomic status might be different, or there might be some cultural barriers. So I think having that experience between traveling and building community in different areas has made me a lot more self-aware, and I think it gives you a lot more empathy for certain situations, because you just never know what people are going through.
Sure. So the partners that you find, how do you find your own community, and I think I'm thinking more of both from a personal standpoint and a professional standpoint. How do you find your community?
Professionally, if we're talking about strictly partnership, we look for people, and I say we collectively in terms of all the the brands and the organizations that I work with, look for things that are reciprocal. I don't think of, a lot of times people think of partnership as a dollar, right? Like, how much can this person give me? How much can we make off of this? When I think about partnership in that context, I'm looking for, how can we build something collaboratively? How can we both benefit off of this? Because granted, everything might not be always 50-50, reciprocal, but there should be some benefit to both parties when it comes to a partnership. And even at the personal level, I do that same approach. Like, I'm not going to try to be friends with you or engage with you just because you're a millionaire, right? Like, yeah, that's nice, but that's not who you are.
Right.
So what characteristics, what values are you bringing to this mutually beneficial relationship that we can both engage in, that we both appreciate, and that aligns with how we both want to move forward? Like, what are your morals? What are your what are your own personal values? And so I approach personal relationships the same way that I approach professional relationships in terms of partnership in that capacity, because I also don't want to work with anybody who it feels like you're just trying to kind of get over, or you're connecting with me because you know what I do and or who I work for. So I think there's a lot of discernment in that comes with building partnership, and that people need to look beyond the dollar and look about what the relationship is. Yeah,
that's so interesting. I think about how transactional we are as Americans, as a society,
as the world.
As the world, as we're so go.
Yeah.
What do you think men could even learn from how you approach these partnerships? It doesn't have to be transactional, and you can actually build meaningful relationships based on genuine interest.
I don't think we have enough time for that one. No, I'm kidding. Specifically, let's say for men, I'm going to kind of group a lot of this together in terms of that personal and professional. I think there is a way, there's a lot of successful men who say, I have nothing but women on my team. Literally, they're women run it. Yeah. And I think there's something to be said about that, because there is a level of care and comfort and ease that women bring into an environment that's a professional environment, that is a personal environment, that's in a romantic environment. There's a reason why men and women are wired in the way they are. And so when I think about how it shows up in the professional space, there's just and granted, I'm not speaking for all women, but I'm just thinking the women that I work with or the people that I collaborate with often, there's a level of extra touch that women add to things. Yeah. Everything's not in a rush. Everything isn't so stoic and stern. I think men can learn how to bring a little bit of softness to that. And I know there's a specific, especially when we talk to black men, oh, you soft, you being soft. But sometimes soft is necessary.
Sure.
How to convey the information, how to communicate effectively. There's a level of softness that women have that professionally and personally, it works. And it elevates the experience of anything. And I think men can learn, tap into that softness a little bit to ease and kind of lighten whatever's happening.
And that's okay.
I absolutely think it's okay. I actually would prefer it. And we're not saying you got to be, there's levels to it. And I don't even want to get into softness doesn't have a look, right? And I think sometimes when you look at the internet, it's oh, you being soft, or oh, dude being a punk, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. I think sometimes the internet has just cannibalized the word soft and made it something that it's not. But I think it is okay for men to show a little bit of that softness, but in that there's a level of emotional intelligence that comes with that. So maybe for men, the word isn't soft. It's like, hey, tap into your emotional intelligence. But that also means you need to be able to be at one with yourself and be okay and deal with the stuff that you need to process. Because what happens is a lot of times stuff shows up in situations like professional environments or in relationships that is unresolved trauma from things that haven't been spoken about. And that could be something that happened on a job, or it could have been something that happened growing up, or it could have been something that happened with one of your homeboys.
Yeah.
Hey friends, I'm Olalu Ogunyemi, U.S. Marine officer, author, and mentor, and founder of ParentChildConnect.com. At Parent Child Connect, we believe that leadership starts at home. That's why we provide tools and resources for parents, teachers, and mentors to connect with and guide the next generation of impactful leaders. Come join us at parent-child-connect.com so we can inspire, connect with, and lead the next generation of impactful leaders.
So this is clip it or keep it.
Okay. It's the game?
Oh yeah, let's look at it as a game.
Okay.
I like that. So empowering others starts when you believe your own story. Clip it or keep it.
Keep it.
Okay. That's it.
Oh, you want me to expand?
Yeah, you can say more. It's lightning-ish round. That's what, thunder round. That's what we called it.
I think you can't truly engage with other people and encourage other people unless you actually own your own story. Whether your story is, traumatic or whether it's beautiful, like everybody's story has like these ebbs and flows. But until you can actually own your own story, not only own it, but accept it, I don't think you can be super encouraging in an effective way as possible if you don't own your own story.
Yeah, beautiful. Men should be slower to feel their emotions.
I think men are already very slow to feel their emotions. I'm going to say clip it.
Okay.
Like, I think everybody goes at their own pace. So what's slow to you could be fast to me and vice versa. So I'm saying clip that because I want you to go at your own pace.
Love it.
Because men are already like very slow at that. We don't need to go any slower.
Fair enough. Women are responsible for sacrificing their own
Clip
dream.
it. Clip it. Because why is it just on the women? I think it goes, the internet has killed a lot of this stuff, let's be honest. Like these 50-50 debates, and I feel like it's only black people that are having these conversations. You don't see any other race online talking about women should be doing this and they be going 50-50, and it's a lot. Like, I don't think anybody should have to sacrifice their dreams for the sake of others. Now, I think there are sacrificial moments, but you should not have to completely sacrifice your dreams on behalf of somebody else. Now, unless that's your agreement, like, hey, you hit the lottery, baby, I'm gonna just take care of everything, we good. But I always say to myself, like when I had my daughter, she's 6 now. Like I was in the middle, I was in the thick of it, like building my brand, like having a TV show, all these things. And then I was like, you know what though? Like I worked all the way up until I had her, went back to work right after. I'm like, I want to still continue this because I was her before I had her. You know what I mean? Like I had my own dreams and visions before I had a child. And I think that was necessary for me to keep up, not just so she can watch, but because I am also a human being who has like goals and dreams and desires. And I don't think you should have to put those on the back burner just because now like you have a kid. And I think it happens with a lot of women. And I have sacrificial moments? Absolutely. But I wasn't gonna be like, well, I'm gonna give up now because I had a kid. I guess everything, just my life revolves around her. And I tell my daughter, like, that girl is like the apple of my eye, right? But me and her father also tell her, like, the world does not revolve around you. Sure. Like, people forget that, like, we're humans, like, we're individuals. Like, you have children, like, you're raising kids. But I think sometimes because children, they don't have, like, the intellect yet to understand that, like, everything isn't about you. Right. We treat them as everything is about them, and you forget about yourself, and especially with women. And so I actually encourage women, like, go harder for your dreams so you have something to, like, not only fall back on, but that you feel fulfilled within. Because when your kids grow up and leave, then what? You're gonna be like, oh, I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have done that. And that's one of the main reasons why I started my company, because the tagline for my company and the whole mission statement is like helping women reclaim and accomplish their dreams, because there's so many moments where you do forget about yourself. So absolutely clip it. That was a very long explanation, but clip it.
Fair enough. And then the last one is community is everyone's responsibility.
Keep it, with a asterisk for that.
Okay.
I think it really depends on, I'm going to say blanket, yes. I think it is everybody's responsibility. But in that instance, you have to define what's community. Community is not the same to everybody. Some people's community is like everybody that's outside their home, right? Like that's their community, that's their work environment, that is their family and friends. Some people's community is like their culture. Like, you know, you have, especially in other cultures, like you have a lot of multi-generational families living together. Some people don't have a community and they don't know what that means. So they might not feel like what you have going on in your community is their responsibility, because they don't even know what community is as a definition. So I think whatever your definition of community is, I think you nurture that.
Yeah, love it. So through your company, you help women reclaim and achieve their dreams. What does it mean to push past doubt and dream boldly?
I think it's pushing past the societal expectations that are on yourself, but also the personal expectations. I'm truly a believer of literally, if you can visualize it happening, it can happen. It's so many things that have happened in my life. I saw it, like I visualized, like it's possible. Like anything that you see somebody doing right now is possible. Like we have, you know, nail techs here. Okay, well, like it's possible because they're doing it, right? Like you can look at somebody and say, that's possible. Oprah did it. It's possible. Now, some things do feel far-fetched because you look at the magnitude of it, but the process and the steps to it, like these are things that are achievable. So while you might not make it to space, right? Like, okay, you can work for NASA, you can create, you know, a space kit that has something for kids. I think getting past what your own personal limitations are, being fearful that it can't happen. I think so many people move in the space of they feel like it can't happen, so they don't do it. But also being okay with it not looking like what you thought it was going to be. I think we have a lot of things in our head, like, oh, it's going to go like this, and that. Like by 18, I'm going to go to college. 22, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to go get a certification in this, and I'm going to be married at this time. I'm going to have a kid. So many things happen. And because it hasn't happened how we want to or how we thought it would look, we deem it as not successful. Well, I think it's successful to the point that it needed to propel you to the next level.
Sure. And you can own your own joint, right?
Exactly. Like you're able to see that. Like this is, I always say, like the things that you see are proof of what's possible.
So what drives you? Why do you do what you do?
This is probably like a very simple answer, and I don't even know any other way to explain it, but like it's who I am. Like it's in me. I've always been like this. Like I've known what I wanted to do since I was 7 years old, right? Like I've known I wanted to work in media and television. I grew up as an only child. I watched like the evening shows and the news shows, and I'm like, gosh, I want to tell people stories. Like I used to set my dolls and animals up and have a little talk show with them. And then when I got like in high school, I'm doing a lot of things in public speaking. I went to college doing a lot of things public speaking, did the radio, majored in journalism. Like I just knew what I wanted to do, and I knew I was passionate about telling people stories. And so I'm just motivated by like this fire that I have, that I know this is what I've been called to do. It literally is, and when you think about it at its core, for me, that's like something that's God ordained. Like I just know what I'm called to do, and I know I've been given a skill set for a specific reason, and so I'm going to operate in that purpose. Like that's the main reason why I stay motivated. Like it's no other factor, because I was like this even before, I had my child, even before I had all these amazing experiences. It's just been in me.
Yeah. One of the things that I want to do is I want to really focus on, I'm talking about building a brand myself. I'm not a journalism or media major. I don't have that background. But I love people. My background is psychology, and I've always been interested in the stories of people. Like I used to just go get coffee with people, caramel latte, double the caramel, oat milk, hot, please, anywhere I go. And just, that's my first question. Tell me your story. What's your story? Because I'm interested in that. And I want to build something where people can feel like they can tell their authentic stories without having to try to measure up to some element of surprise or element of something that they are not. How do you, on all levels, an individual level, all the way up to your profession, given the current state of our world where people feel like their voices are being silenced, how do you promote authenticity in people's voices and through your brands?
I don't think authenticity is something that you promote. I think it's something that you live.
Dang.
And
I love that.
We get caught up, and we, like the collective, we as community, is that we're trying so hard to promote, like, I'm a good person, I'm authentic, I'm genuine, that it becomes a campaign versus something that you're living. So to me, it's not even like how do you promote it? It's like, well, my life is a representation of it, so I don't have to say it. And what I get the most joy of is like any person like who has either spoken on my behalf or who's referred me to somebody. They're like, yo, she's exactly who she says she is, like, right? Or you are like how you present, And I think it's such a compliment when people say, like, oh, this is a very kind person. Oh, this person was super cool. It has, like, we get caught up nowadays, and especially I always refer to this social media thing because it is really, we grew up in the era where, we started with AOL. Like, we've seen the transition. We've lived life where social media wasn't available yet. And I think we get so much caught up in the aesthetic that now I'm like, I don't even know if whoever I'm meeting, are you gonna look like what I saw on the screen, and not in a way where it's like not a judgment, but it's like, if you're trying to present as this person online, who are you presenting in person? So all the campaigns of I'm authentic, I'm genuine, I'm this, I'm that, it's not a campaign. And we're busy living our lives as a campaign versus like, this is inherently who I am. And that takes, that takes a practice, and not practice to make it perfect. This is like a practice as like, this is your belief. This is who you are. This is what you do. So there's no gimmick in that, which is how you can meet somebody and you'll be like, the vibe was just off. Like, I feel like something ain't right? Like, it's not settling. Or you meet somebody and you see how they present online, they meet them in person, and be like, dang, like, I won't vibe with that. I didn't like how they came off. And so I really try, whatever you see, like, on my social media, like, how I am is who you're going to get in person. But there's also a level of, like, keeping things to yourself as well. Like, you're not going to see my private life like that on social media. Like, there's certain things that I also feel like are reserved for certain groups of people, or for a partner, or for whatever that may be. And I think people can be a little more authentic if we're going this promotion of authentic route, with keeping something for yourself. So there's nothing that you have to justify on the back end.
Here's something you don't know, because you were talking about supporting people earlier and that being a part of your platform. You were one of the first voices I told about this podcast. We met over a year ago, and this was still when it was a concept. I mean, I had no clue what it was going to become. And the first thing you said was like, those are the types of things I do. And you started like, it was an encouragement from someone like we had just met. So it was that type of encouragement that was really uplifting. So I guess I'm spinning this into giving you your flowers and saying thank you for just that encouragement for a stranger. Like that was really dope to me.
Of course.
So I appreciate
But I think it's important because you don't know, like, one word from somebody really could change the trajectory of your life, whether it's encouraging you to create your own show, or whether it's just like, hey, I like that blazer today, right? It literally, like, one word with everything that everybody's dealing with can change the trajectory of somebody's life. And I'm like, man, I know how many people spoke positively over my life, but I also felt like a lot of times people didn't understand what I was trying to do because nobody around me, whether it be like family or anybody else, had never done what I wanted to do. So it can feel isolating. So, I mean, of course, anytime anybody tells me an idea, I'm always gonna be like, yo, do it. Like, why not? You know, and if you ask for my opinion, I will give, you know, my opinion, like, or give you some suggestions, but forever encouraging people because I know how much it means to really like live out your dreams and something that you really are passionate about.
Yeah. I want to go back to Dream Pusher and what you do to uplift and support women. Where do men fit into that? How can men better support women?
So I think men fit in what I do because not only do I do stuff just for women, but I represent in the media relations way like a lot of different brands or events so that are male-led, which is funny. So I mentioned earlier like the Cousins Festival. So I was their head of media relations. So ran all like the digital content, did the press runs forward facing, and that was founded by 3 men, Antonio, Family, and Pusha T, right? So it's my job to like create a brand voice and like, but also give them like a little bit of guidance and like softness in a way that feels organic and natural. So men can benefit from, you know, working with women and like how we speak and tone of voice. Yeah. But in terms of how men can support women, I think just, you know, hiring women, number one, is always, you know, like one of the best ways. But I think not engaging in conversations that are to the detriment of women. And I will say not engaging in conversation that is specifically detrimental to the Black women. I think there's a lot of chatter happening around like the divisiveness between Black men and Black women and who's doing what, who's doing this. And I will say a lot of times it's because of unmet needs on both ends. But I will say it's been probably 75-25 for me. 75% of men that I've worked with have really supported me, right, and advocated for me. I think there's been maybe it's less than 25%, but there's been times where like they're intimidated and it's like, oh, you're coming from my spot kind of thing. So I can't work with you. I don't want to work with you. But I'm like, if we're supposed to be peers, not even equals, if we're supposed to be peers, it's supposed to be collaborative. Like, why are we in competition? Because I'm bringing something different to the table, but because somebody else might get more recognition, that's a threat. But instead of using it to your advantage, you kind of use it as like a competition. So I think it would be nice if men looked at women as not in competition, and that's even personally and professionally because it happens in relationships too. Look at it as like, hey, we're on the same page together. Let's figure out how to collaborate versus like, let's be in competition with each other.
Yeah, that's so important. And I thought of this question in preparation and earlier, and I wasn't going to ask, but you brought it up, and I want to just speak more to it, put more language to this intimidation factor.
Yeah.
Why be intimidated? What is there to lose? And how do you see men and women working more in tandem with one another? And I'm speaking on all levels. This is everything from relationships to platonic friendships to business endeavors to community engagement. Yeah. How can we continue to walk hand in hand?
I think it kind of goes back to like one of the first questions you chatted about in relation to like knowing yourself. And if you can't own your story, there's no way like you're going to be able to not feel intimidated. Intimidation only comes from lack, right? Yeah. So somebody could walk in here doing the same thing that I do. That doesn't intimidate me because I'm also just like, I'm the only person that's me. And a lot of times men and women, we get caught up in me and you have the same title. We work for the same company. Well, who's better, right? But you're the only person who can do what you do. I'm the only person that can do what I do. So I think removing the lack and having more self-confidence, but that having more self-confidence comes from owning your story and being honest with yourself about where you are, where you were, and where you're going.
Yeah, I love that. You're the first female guest on Wo-Manhood Manicures.
Hey. Hopefully I won't be the last.
No, you definitely won't be the last, and that's something.
Sorry, guys, I'm coming for you. The women are coming for you.
And we will not be intimidated by it. And one of the things that, in building this platform, I really wanted to do is offer different perspectives. I don't think that I certainly don't think I have all the answers, and I will never get every guest that has all the answers either. And the best thing that I can try to do is offer different perspectives for people to hopefully take home to. And so, as being the first woman on Manhood and Manicures, what are some things that you hope men can take away from your journey and your story?
I think it would be nice if men were a lot more gentle with women.
Okay.
I think women, like, we present as like very strong, and we are, like, I think there's not a choice, right? Like, I think we present as very strong and like we've got it together, and I think that is a half truth, right? But there are times where, like, you know what, I don't want to like have to lead. I don't want to have to like do the most. I don't want to have to think about all the things. It would be nice if men were a lot more gentle in that capacity. And I think some things, it's just how men and women are wired, like, so differently, that it's like y'all collectively, because women are like this too, like, are meant to be, you know, like the problem solvers. They're like, I'm just going to take care of it. I'll make it happen. And women are like the ideators and the executors. But there's spaces where we don't want to do that. We don't want to be that. And it is hard for women. I'll say it's hard for myself to even articulate that, because I also, sometimes you don't want to come off as like needy, or I think there's a lot of that. So I think men, you know, being a little more gentle, but also men like pouring into you. It's oftentimes women pouring into men, like, no, you can do it. I encourage you. Like, you got this. Like, let's go. You know, we're cheering you on. And most times for us, it's our girlfriends who are cheering us on. It's not like, I mean, and you, like, I have some great male friends, and I've you know, been in relationship with guys who have definitely been great cheerleaders. But I think overall, it's usually the women's girlfriends that are cheering them on, that are encouraging them, that are sending them that card, like, hey, you got this. I know you're going through a hard time, but like, you can do it. I think men can be better cheerleaders for the women in their lives, whether it's romantic, professional, or platonic. Like, they can definitely be better cheerleaders for the women in their life, because we need it. I think men believe we hear it all the time anyway. So it's like, oh, what's the point? Like, I remember some years ago, like well over 10 years ago, I was dating a guy, and he was like, I never feel like I have to say anything, because you hear it all the time, or people are saying nice things to you all the time. And I said, it doesn't matter how many people are saying it, it's who it's coming from. Yes. And there's a misconception, especially in the work that I do, because a lot of things that I do is forward facing, right? Like, I'm on TV, I produce, I work with celebrity, and there is the perception of like, oh, like, she knows she's amazing, or she knows she's killing it. But sometimes it's like, yeah, it's great, it's nice to hear that from strangers, but sometimes you want to hear that from the people who are close to you, or you want to hear that from somebody you're in relationship with. Mm-hmm. So I think men, it's nice for them to like pay attention a little bit more to those moments.
That's a great teaching moment. I mean, that's something that even recently I learned through conversations with my wife. I'm not praying over my wife enough. I'm not building her up as much as I could and should be. And so, yeah, that's teaching me already that there are times that I need to be a better supporter and cheerleader of all that my wife does. Yeah.
Well, you just made a point. You're like, you know, you don't praise her enough, but I think men are so concerned about like protection that they're not worried about the praise, right? And sometimes the praise will provide another level of protection that's more than just like this literal, physical, or financial protection.
Oh, wow.
Like, we get caught up in okay, am I financially stable? Like, am I, you know, I got a roof over my head, or is he able to, if somebody breaks in our house, can he save me? You know, I think we look at those things, but women are wired very differently in terms of like that emotional component. So even just that level of praise, I tell men, like, that level of praise will kind of elevate your pockets if you don't have that much, right? Because you're pouring into me. I don't know, ladies, y'all agree? Like, like, yes. I mean, I'm just, because it's not about just like the dollar. Like, y'all, I got my own money, right? Like, sure. I got my own stuff. I want to hear like how you feel about me, how you feel about what I'm doing, because I'm definitely pouring that into you. Yeah. But you're so worried about the protection that you're not worried about like the praise. And this is how, in my opinion, like a lot of relationships sometimes derail, because what's happening is there is a lack of praise and they're hearing it from somebody else. And now your cup is being filled elsewhere. And it doesn't have to be, and I'm not even saying like in a romantic relationship, but like, oh, it's only all my girlfriends telling me. So I just feel like I want to hang out with them more because I'm not hearing it from my partner, or I'm not hearing it at work. So I feel like now I'm feeling unworthy, right? It's a level of, like, it's like a chain reaction process.
Yeah.
So I think maybe lean more into the praise versus the protection. You already know you got the protective covering. What does it look like to show up in praise?
This support across traditional gender norms. I saw on one of your platforms not too long ago, you had done a conversation around men and body image. And that was a conversation we had with a guest in the previous episode. But this support across the traditional gender norms that we can potentially do, where's the evolution in that? Where is the next evolution in being able to, I need to be able to be softer, be more supportive, praise more, and then vice versa. There are opportunities where there may be women that have platforms that can elevate men's issues that traditionally we have not done. Where's the next evolution in that?
I think it depends on the person, but I think it's like, how much are you committed to growth, right? Like, it's a way to encourage that and engage that without getting out these gender norms, but also it's like everything's changing now. I think a lot of things are antiquated, but it also depends on what you believe in. Sure. Because when you think about traditional gender norms, is it what society tells you? Is it biblical? Is it based on your religion? Or is it based on, like, it's so many variations. Yeah. And so I think even when you say traditional gender norms, well, what does that mean to me and you? I'm based on our historical knowledge and what I'm assuming, and I'm making the assumption what, we believe in. It's like, okay, well, men should be doing this, women should be doing that, men shouldn't be doing this, women shouldn't be doing that. Yeah. But I think as we evolve and grow, and I think we're raising kids around the same age, is different for them. And I think for me, even raising a child in this generation right now, it's like everybody's household looks different. Everybody's dynamic is different. It's a lot. And so I think it's a matter of not only preference, but it's acceptance of everybody, to be honest, because once you start getting into these gender norms, then you get into grouping people in boxes. Then you get the tier gets smaller and smaller and smaller. So now you end up on an island on your own because you've completely isolated everybody else that doesn't fit into this norm of what you think is supposed to be. So I think being more open-minded, sure, and being more accepting, because I don't care what Johnny has going on in his house. That has got nothing to do with me. Does it affect my life? No. And until it affects my life, then I'll care. But I care about you as a human being. I care about how you treat people. So I think it needs to be a lot more of acceptance and listening versus finger pointing and trying to judge, because everybody got something, gender norm, situation, skeleton, whatever you want to call it, that you don't want to come out. So what you're finger pointing at somebody that doesn't fit into this norm, well, they can pull something out on you. Right. It's the same, because if you're going to go biblically, right, they say murder is no different than you stealing a piece of candy from the store.
Absolutely.
Where do we draw the line?
Yeah.
And I'm not even it's crazy because I'm not even a religious person. I also think there's a difference in religion and spirituality, right? I grew up, in the Catholic Church, and I grew up Baptist. But I also think I can't, it is. My mom was Catholic, my dad was Baptist. I did my whole Holy Sacraments, Catholic Church, all the things, right? And so I literally probably can't sit here and quote Bible scriptures to you, but you also know there's certain foundational principles that you grew up on. And then as you grow and you learn, you're like, ooh, and it's not that it doesn't apply, right? Because for me, the word is the word, right? And we all be doing things outside. Everybody be doing some things. We already know what we're talking about, right? But I think when you look at just foundational principles, those are the things that kind of they guide your life. And if you look at what are your morals and what are your standards, what are your non-negotiables, then you work around that. I think there's so many things that because I believe in something and you believe in something different, well, I'm going to apply what I believe to your situation too, because it's what I believe. Yeah. And it's not fair to you. as a person, because your whole worldview is totally different than mine. We grew up totally different ways. So who am I to tell you how you should be living and what rules and roles you should be playing in your household?
Yeah. I want to switch and talk about, return to a conversation about community, and particularly, there's a word that we throw around a lot, legacy. And I kind of talked about, I asked you earlier why you do what you do, but I really want to talk about it from the sense of looking at this upcoming generation. You talked about you're raising a child, we're raising children, in this upcoming generation. What do you hope to see from this next generation, and how are you beginning to make that mark on that generation?
I hope they know that, number one, I think like literally, it sounds so cliche, it's like literally like the hard work does pay off. What I see happening, and I'm gonna say like the not so positive, and maybe it's, I don't know, whatever we want to call it, but there's a lot of people that are skipping steps, right?
Yeah.
And to me, there is something to be said about like going through the process. And that doesn't mean like you don't get there faster, but you can always tell when somebody has skipped the steps when it comes to it's time to do something big. And I think this generation it's a lot of like, I want to rush, like, as soon as I graduate, I'm gonna be the CEO. And granted, you might be, and I think that's dope that they even have the opportunities to be running businesses while they're in high school. I can imagine like where I'd be right now if I could do all these things, right? Or had the access that they have. But there's also something to be said, like, yeah, like you can be the CEO at 18 or 22, but like, do you have the experience and the character building to be able to handle what's coming or to go through the process?
Yes.
So I think not trying to skip steps in the process is really important. And I hope they understand the value of that, because what happened, we saw what happened when TikTok went down. Oh my God, everybody was freaking out. People thought they were losing their jobs. But like, what skill set do you have that if all of this went away, that is a marketable skill? Like, what foundational knowledge do you have that if you can't Google something that you know?
Yeah.
So even just getting back to the basics of that, I hope they understand the importance of like the basics of information and how to research and how to define and how to live without all the technological things. I think it's really important. Also, I hope they know to, like, I always say this on a lot of like, I'll like be chatting with my friends or on panels and things. I'm like, you literally cannot chat GPT your real life. And I think that is it's so critical right now, because when you speak about authenticity and being genuine, it's like, what version of you am I getting? Like, is this the real you? Is this the AI version of you? Is it the ChatGPT version of you? I hope they know that like at some point you have to live your real life.
Yeah.
And I don't want them to make a life based off of asking an unknown source who they should be and being really comfortable in their own skin. Like, I'm excited for what this next generation is gonna do, because they have so much access, but also with having so much access, you can get lazy. Sure. Because it is so easy. Like, I remember we used to have to go to the library to find information, go through the card catalog. I know I feel like I'm dating myself, but that's real, right? There was a process.
System, is that
yes, it was like all the things, it was a process, right? And there's something to be said about a process, and that's with anything. That's with a professional life, that's with your personal life, that's with relationships. There's something to be said about process and orders, and every process doesn't have to be 88 steps, but there is something about process and order that makes the reward like so much more, like, it feels so much better when you get it.
And that really has nothing to do with gender or
it doesn't.
Race,
yeah, it's literally like being a human.
Yeah.
And one of the other things I always share is like, don't let your actions lead you to somewhere where your character can't sustain you. A lot of times we're trying to get places faster, and we're willing to compromise on the things we either believe or the things that we really want to do.
Let's rewind that. Don't let your actions
take you to a place where your character can't sustain you.
Dope. I love it.
Like, it's easy to get, like, I think about some of the proposals that I've gotten to do things, and working in media is wild, right? But I also think, like, I don't want anybody to ever say, like, oh, she got here because she went with so-and-so back to the, you know what I mean? And not knocking it, get it how you live it. But also, when that ends, where's your skill?
Yeah. Yeah. Is there anything that we haven't covered that you want to talk about or discuss?
No, I mean, this has been like a great conversation. It's so interesting being on this side because I'm usually I'm usually like the interviewing, and I think for me, it's also refreshing to be able to share my point of view because I don't often do that. Not for any other reason than like I'm really curious about other people's stories.
Yeah.
But I really enjoy, thank you for having me because I really enjoyed like sharing my perspective and being able to, like, a lot of these questions, I'm saying this in real time because it's not things I've actually thought about, but I'm like, oh, like, this makes sense. Like, oh, this is what I believe. Like, this is who I am, but it also reminds me that everything I'm saying is like something that I'm actually living.
Yeah.
So it's easy to articulate because that's who I am as a person. So I think a question for you is, what do you think women can do to better support men?
Oh my gosh. I'm never prepared for people to turn the script on me. So I think we all recognize that we have strengths and we have things that we can bring to the table. One of the most frustrating things for me, actually, let me back up. I always have to shout out my wife because we moved out here and she did abandon her career for the sake of coming out here. And that's something that I think about every single day, every decision, because I'm representing her and these kids. I'm trying to best support them the way that I can. And so for me, what I think that women overall can do is you find your tribe, you find your group of people, whether that's the people that you live with, the people that you were born into, or the people that you find otherwise. You find them and you stick with them. One of the things that I love seeing is friendships that last forever. And one thing that I had to get over is relationships don't last forever. And finding the blend between that has been really interesting. So I'm tying all this together to say, have your tribe, find your folks, and don't be afraid to go against norms that other people try to put on you. Manhood and manicures, in my opinion, makes no sense because it's never been done. Not that I've found, and it is a traditional feminine environment. And when men are trying to be softer, like you were talking about earlier, and trying to reach into a realm that may be uncomfortable, having the support to do that while still maintaining an element of manhood, still being encouraged to do those things while also being seen as a man is helpful. Yeah. It's a helpful partnership to have. So I rambled a little bit only to say that I think everyone has their strengths and things that they bring to the table, and don't let traditions box you into a traditional norm that you have every right to get out of. Yeah.
The reason why I asked you that question is because you asked, what can men do to support women, but I'm truly a believer of like reciprocal relationships. I don't think it should just be on men to be pouring into women. I think it needs to be like mutually beneficial.
Well, to be clear, I do think that women have the lion's share of supporting men. And I do think it is time to flip that script a little bit and allow men, encourage men to actually support women in what they do. Yeah. Because I think women are dope. And I think women have a lot to offer that historically they have not been able to offer to society, to narratives, to communities. So while I think there are things that, again, I'm not into a ton of traditional things for the sake of tradition. Yeah. I've always been a curious person. At the same time, I certainly think that men have a responsibility now to support women more. So
I agree. Keep it.
Well, Stephanie, thank you so much for joining Manhood and Manicures. This has been amazing.
This was great. I'm happy to be your first female guest. Set the bar for the rest of y'all.